You just said something in there, your people and org is everything, right? And we talk on the podcast to, only C-suite executives, CROs like yourself, CMOs, CEOs. And we've always asked them this question, which is, what are your two greatest challenges for creating long-term sustainable growth? And the number one challenge above everything else mentioned over 70% of the time was the greatest challenge was internal alignment and coming together internally. We think of our challenges as, outside impact on outside trends and COVID and competitors and things like that. But really getting our house in order and all of us basically on the same playbook. So you and I had talked about how constant change and transformation not only impacts alignment, but these reorgs that happen within can be extremely upsetting, right? To kind of that balance and having a consistent focus on where we're going and what we're doing and who's in charge. Tell me a little bit about this constant reorg and how it affects internal alignment and just overall success.
I mean, like, listen, I've lived in organizations where unfortunately set off the C-suite or the executive team, the ELT team with the best intention and try to be aligned, but you go through quarter after quarter of downsizing and shifting priorities. And what happens to your talent, and especially good talent, is they begin to ask themselves, what does this mean to me? What does this mean for me, my family, my income? I want to put a pool in the backyard. Am I going to get commission that I was hoping? Am I going to be down on what's the financial position of the organization? It really crushes morale and it will stall the execution of a really good go-to-market strategy and a transformation. My approach has always been to communicate as much as possible, as much as I can, given the fact that I am sitting in the C-suite and I am privy to confidential information. I try to be as clear as possible, as quickly as possible about why we're changing, what we're changing, and what's not. I think the hardest thing to do as a chief revenue officer is when change does occur and downsizing does occur and priorities occur. Constantly shifting, it's really being courageous enough to set realistic performance windows. Sometimes a board or the CEO wants to change the people, but they don't want to change the goal. And that can be really crushing and unrealistic for a team, especially in service organizations. And one like higher education, workforce development, it's driven so much by relationships that when you're constantly changing their primary point of contact, at some point, the client is going to put their head up and say, what the heck is going on? You have to protect the performance window. You have to you have to communicate. You have to set, as a chief revenue officer, you have to be brave enough to push back against the CEO and board to say, listen, we have fatigue in our organization. The talent doesn't understand why in 1 week, maybe we've made 3 different major announcements and we're not protecting the health of our pipeline. We're not protecting our people and we're not being clear to them or to our clients to be able to build that runway to success.